Hi, and welcome to the Planet Driven Brands podcast. In this show, we will be discussing with our guests how brands they represent can help in the drive to build a better, more sustainable and safer planet. We will highlight brands as drivers for change and the role they play as influencers. How will brands positively impact the planet and its environment? This is what we're going to find out. Do brands actually have any responsibility to change? Planet Driven Brands podcast, episode 32. Today's guest is Sarah Scudder, growth strategist and data-driven marketing strategist. We're going to be discussing the story of sustainable packaging. Sarah, thanks so much for coming on our show. I wonder if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name is Sarah Scudder. I'm a growth strategist. So I've spent my career helping startups build brands in the technology space and kind of transition into successful companies along the way. And about 3 years ago, I joined a tech startup called Real Sourcing Network, where I run now all of the growth strategy and marketing. And Real Sourcing Network has a software and technology solution that helps companies better buy print and packaging. We're starting to focus on sustainable packaging and helping organizations look at their existing packaging strategy and programs and how they can do things that are more eco and sustainable. So really excited to have a conversation about some of the things that I think are shaping the packaging industry from a sustainability perspective.
Where are you, in your opinion, of brands' responsibility in regards to the planet?
Yeah, so I think the responsibility falls on every single person. I think the consumers are as much invested and involved and responsible as the brands themselves. And in my world, in the packaging space, because the buying habits have shifted tremendously, where people are placing orders online and not going into brick and mortar establishments, people are realizing how much waste is being generated when they see a stack of packaging material and a stack of boxes at the end of the week sitting on their dining room table, sitting near their trash can, sitting near the recycling can. And it's something that I don't think we were as conscious or aware of until COVID hit and we started buying so much more online. So the reason I mention this is because what I'm seeing happen now is this is starting to bother consumers. And they are feeling like we're responsible because we're the one placing this order. And so we need to drive change. And that can be done two ways. You spend your money consciously with companies that have a mission and focus on sustainability. The second is to try to force companies that you buy from to pivot and make their packaging more sustainable. So what we're seeing is people are taking pictures of their wasteful packaging and they're posting it online and they're tagging the company. And they're saying, look, Sephora, I ordered this little tiny lipstick and it arrived in a box, a refrigerator box. There's a problem here with this. What can we do to change it?
Okay, let's go to sustainable packaging, because I know this is an area of expertise. Where have we come from and where are we now? And where do we need to get to?
So I think we've come from a culture, and when I say culture, I'm based in the US, so I'm speaking from a US perspective, is we just want to get the product to the consumer as quickly as possible. That's the number one focus and priority. So if we have to ship a little item in a massive box, who cares? Yeah. If we send something with tons of bubble wrap and packaging material, even though it doesn't need it, who cares? So I think speed has been the demanding guiding force. Then you look at, from a distribution perspective, people who work in assembly lines or in warehouses, the metrics that their performance is rated on is also speed. and getting as many packages picked, packed, and shipped as they can per day, which does not empower or allow employees the time to go and find the right box and the right packaging material for each order. And then the third is empowerment, empowering employees to actually proactively look at something and make recommendations to the executive management team. So those are where we've come from. Those are three challenges or things that I have not seen been a priority at a lot of companies here in the US. And where we're going, I think, is going to be a couple things. I think we're going to see new materials being used in packaging where we're going to have a lot more biodegradable options. And the second is right size packaging. And what that means is we're going to have more options for companies to look at and assess the data on their average order size shipments. So if I'm running a manufacturing company and I look at my data and I see, okay, our average order size is 3 items and the items are this size, I'm going to make sure that I have packaging material that's going to support 80% of our orders, which means it's going to specifically fit those 3 items instead of just putting things in an oversized box. There's a few things that I think people don't necessarily think about when it comes to sustainable packaging, and I want to make sure we highlight those. The first is that the most sustainable thing you can do for your packaging is not have damaged products and returns. That is the most wasteful thing you can do. That means you have to have a product shipped back and then a potentially new product shipped out. So you're increasing the amount of packaging material that's needed and you're increasing the carbon imprint. So the most important thing a company can do is get their product to the consumer without it being damaged. And 2, try to minimize returns. The second thing that companies can do is not using so much packaging material.
Yeah.
So this is what I call common sense packaging. So this is a cost reducing step that companies can do immediately today. The third thing is there's I think a misconception that plastic is bad. All plastic is not bad. Now, plastic may sit in landfills for hundreds of years, but you have to look at the reusability of plastic. And there are companies that I know that use plastic for their packaging. And right now, given what's available in the market, it's actually the best solution because they can reuse it 20 or 30 times. Now, if they pivoted to a biodegradable solution and every time they use it, it has to go out in the garden or be recycled, that's actually less sustainable than using the plastic. Now, what is a challenge are the one-time use plastics. But I want to be very clear that past plastic packaging solutions may actually be a really sustainable option for a brand. The fourth is what I mentioned before, which is the right size packaging. Making your packaging actually fit the size of the products in the box. And with flexible packaging, which is packaging that will conform in different shapes, like pouches, for example, are really popular now in food manufacturing. So there are packaging that is being developed that can conform to different shapes and sizes. And right sizing your packaging, I think, is a really critical step as well as someone's looking at their sustainable packaging solution.
Consumers tend to be a bit lazy, and whilst they might demand things, they don't actually do what they're supposed to do to help the causes. And I don't think we should always absolve the consumers from responsibility.
So this is one of my biggest points that I'm hoping to make an impact with. brands need to provide clear instructions to the consumer with the packaging about what to do with it. So I get a lot of packaging, and I'm in the industry and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, my big ask is somewhere on the packaging, print instructions on what to do with it. Prana, which is an apparel company here in the US, they do a really good job with their packaging because so when they ship their clothing, it comes in bags made from 100% recycled fiber. So they don't use boxes. And at the bottom of the bag, they have clearly printed instructions on what to do with it. IKEA, they have committed to eliminating styrofoam from all of their packaging. So what they're doing is they're using a new material. It's actually manufactured in Troy, New York, and it's made out of mushrooms.
Cool.
So what you're supposed to be able to do, now I haven't personally tested this. It's not available in California yet. I keep waiting because as soon as it is, I'm going to order a few things and I'm going to document the process. I'm going to video, do a series of posts because I want to see if it actually does what they are claiming it's supposed to do. But what the material is supposed to do is once you open your furniture or your household item, you're supposed to take the material and put it in your garden. And it is supposed to completely biodegrade in 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Wow.
So now my question is, does it actually work? When I put it in my garden in 3 weeks, is it actually going to go away? When it does disintegrate, what does it look like? And my bigger question is, does it smell? And then what I'm hoping is that they're going to clearly explain what people are supposed to do with it. Because if you got a package like that and you didn't know what it was, you wouldn't know to put it in your garden.
I'd just like you to paint the picture of 5 years' time in regards to packaging.
I think we're going to see more biodegradable packaging that we're actually going to be able to put in our gardens or put in compost that will actually disintegrate. I think we're going to see clear instructions printed on packaging so consumers can take the right action to recycle and or get rid of their packaging material. And I think we're going to see consumers and brands and all those involved in the packaging supply chain start to invest more money in testing new materials, new equipment, new technologies to develop packaging solutions that are more cost effective and more sustainable.
It's been really, really interesting. It's another angle on packaging, and I thought I'd covered it. So I think that's been really, really, really good. Thank you so much.
2 things that are educational for those that are listening that may want to learn more about packaging. I host a LinkedIn Live packaging show every month. And then my team and I produce a lot of content around sustainable packaging and some of the things that brands can do.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. The Planet Driven Brands podcast is the brainchild and copyright of Nick Jones and is broadcast in partnership with theplanetsagency.com. Planets Agency is a partnership of consultants and communications experts. We build planet-driven brands. During the series of shows, we'll be hearing from more experts and we would love for you to be involved. Please do comment or come back to us with questions. We'll be happy to engage. If you wish to be notified when our episodes are broadcast, please subscribe on the website. If you'd like to be part of the show, we'd love to hear from you. We look forward to many more entertaining episodes. Thanks again for listening.